The debate over financial regulation extends to the other side of the Atlantic. There's a growing showdown brewing over in Europe. Bloomberg's Chris Burns is covering the summit for us from Brussels. Chris, how is this all going to play out?
Well, Scarlett, this is pretty much a showdown between the UK and the rest of the Europe, the continent especially, where they favor much more regulation, and they have to decide how much power, if any, they should give to EU authorities. What the UK is afraid of is that there could be a flight of jobs and business out of the UK if the regulation is too tough. In fact, there's an estimated 40,000 London city jobs that could be lost or hang in the balance because of this. Scarlett.
Now, the question is, will the UK be on board if the EU proceeds? And how effective would any agreement be without the United Kingdom's participation?
Well, right. That's the question. Now, the way analysts are telling me here is they believe that France and Germany have the votes behind them to push this through, to railroad it through, and that the UK eventually will have to comply. But they're looking for a compromise here, and the UK already has managed to put into the draft this clause that any power by the EU should not impinge on a member state's fiscal responsibilities. That might be enough to get them to go along, but also unresolved are the question over how and whether to regulate hedge funds and short selling by the EU, whether the EU should regulate those. That is a big question there. UK's finance chief, Alistair Darling, says it's not just about rules, it's about people. Here's what he said.
Institutions are important, and so are the tools for them to do the job, and we need to ensure that there are the right tools to do that job. But to concentrate only on institutions seems to me to miss the point.
Chris, and another question. Will the leaders manage to get Ireland to hold another referendum on the Lisbon Treaty?
Now, this is another big question about EU power, and the Lisbon Treaty would be granting more power to the EU, more streamlining, allowing quicker decision-making, but smaller countries like Ireland feel that they might be steamrolled by this. So to reassure them, the leaders here want to issue a statement saying that despite the Lisbon Treaty, that Ireland still could maintain their control over their abortion laws, over military neutrality, and on taxation. Back to you, Judith.
Chris Burns covering the EU summit in Brussels.